Mr. Speaker, sir, the Honorable Moses Masika Wetangula, Madam Deputy Speaker, the Secretary General of the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, Mr. Stephen Twigg, the Leader of Majority, Kimani Ichung'wah Anthony, the Leader of Minority, Opiyo Wandayi, the whips, honorable members, good afternoon. Hamjambo. I am truly happy to be in your midst. And before I make my small remarks, let me first take this opportunity to congratulate each and every one member who has been elected to the 13th Parliament. Honorable members, I repeat to say congratulations because I am a practicing politician. I have been elected a few times, and I know how difficult it is to persuade people to elect one. So I have tremendous respect for elected officials. Congratulations to all of you. Congratulations to those who earned the respect of their political parties to be nominated. And let me say from the onset that I look forward to working with all of you. I join you, honorable members, on this National Assembly Day at this event of tremendous importance as you undertake deliberations, reflections, consultations, and other discourses related to your mandate, which is essential to citizen well-being and our collective national progress. Since my last encounter with you, when I addressed a joint sitting of Parliament, significant developments have unfolded in our constantly evolving context. The role of the legislature has continued to assert itself in highly important, far-reaching ways. The need for a clear, rational, sustainable, and clear framework of engagement between the three arms of government has come out in very sharp focus. The National Assembly has, over the brief period, considered and passed legislative items that are critical for the nation, robustly vetted and approved various appointments of state officers, including cabinet secretaries, principal secretaries, and the Inspector General of the Police Service. At the same time, you have concluded important internal agendas, including the formation of House committees, and it is my special honor to respectfully acknowledge the presence of the chairpersons and vice chairpersons who are in our midst. Pongezi sana waheshimiwa for being given the mandate to run the affairs of the various committees of the House. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and honorable members for the priority you have accorded the government agenda in the House. As a result, we were able to expeditiously constitute the executive, conclude critical legislation, consider and approve various nominees for appointment to public office. The approval of the regulations which brought the Hustler Fund into operation, thereby realizing our financial inclusion agenda, is of particular historic significance. Similarly, the first legislation to receive my assent, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Act No. 1 of 2023, is designed to provide a framework for us with close parliamentary oversight to sustain the incremental perfection of our electoral regime. And in so doing, the National Assembly plays its part in setting the stage for us to deliver on our commitment to undertake a radical socio-economic transformation with a view to uplifting Kenyans and all our people. I am therefore immensely privileged to have this singular opportunity to convey my gratitude to you in person and let you know that I do not take your consideration for agenda of the Kenya government for granted. Thank you very much. It is by working together in this spirit that we, as leaders, affirm the hope that Kenya's bright future can be guaranteed through dedicated service of our shared commitment. Mr. Speaker, I recently conveyed a list of additional names of persons whose suitability the House shall consider once it resumes. I request honorable members to perform their duty expeditiously to enable successful nominees assume their roles without delay. This is essential for our good governance. As set out in my address at the joint sitting of the House and reiterated in my memorandum to the Speaker, we see transparency and accountability as vital components of good governance, effective delivery, and the legitimacy of the executive. For this reason, the government is committed to the radical enhancement of its accountability to the people of Kenya through their democratically elected representatives in Parliament. In keeping with this commitment to enhancing government accountability, I have formally requested Parliament to formulate within its procedures a mechanism for cabinet secretaries to appear before the House and give account to the people's representatives. I am steadfast in the conviction that articulating government policy and answering questions from the floor of the House is fundamental to the transparency and accountability of government. Properly effected, this framework will enhance parliamentary effectiveness by providing an optimal convergence of oversight and representation. It is important to emphasize, which I do, that the measure I request does not require any amendment to the Constitution and does, on the contrary, fulfill the threshold of accountability mandated by the Constitution. I therefore respectfully reiterate my request to Parliament and urge honourable members to move with speed in effecting the appropriate amendment of the standing orders once the House resumes, so that Article 1534B, that states that Cabinet Secretaries shall provide Parliament with full and regular reports concerning matters under their control, is actually effected. And with a lot of respect, let me make this argument. I was privileged to be part of the constitution-making process. And we had an opportunity to decide whether this country would go parliamentary or presidential. The people of Kenya decided unanimously that they wanted to elect their president. So we have crossed the Rubicon on matters parliamentary or presidential. We've crossed that Rubicon. What we need to do is to refine the system of government that the people of Kenya decided, the presidential system, to refine it so that it is much more accountable. When I sent the request to Parliament for you, members, honorable members, to consider cabinet secretaries answering questions directly to members of Parliament, it was not an issue of trying to renegotiate the Constitution. It is an issue of accountability. I am a very strong believer that a government is as good as the accountability mechanism that has been put in place. All I am asking, honorable members, is for you to better, much more effectively, much more efficiently, to be able to discharge your responsibility of oversight over government. Ordinarily, an administration would be running away from that act. But I am presenting my government to you, honorable members, to oversight, to ask questions, to interrogate, so that we can have a better country for all of us. To affirm that we are well and truly on a new trajectory in legislative management, I cannot fail to mention and commend the recent facilitation by the House of the work of majority and minority caucuses outside the scope of formal parliamentary business. I recently attended a meeting of the majority caucus and was able to observe and confirm the value of this new practice. It is a welcome innovation, and I salute the imagination deployed by the House in achieving this outfit. I hope Opio and I will also welcome me to the minority caucus, maybe to have a conversation. I indicated at the onset that this event is critical and of fundamental importance. By design, Parliament is a consequential institution of state. A democratic government is underpinned by a representative assembly. The people, who are sovereign, speak to government on a continuous basis through Parliament. Through their members of Parliament, the people ask questions, find answers, audit the exercise of power and resources by their authorized officials, authorize the sharing of resources, interrogate, and moderate public policy. In our progressive democratic dispensation, the government is not feasible in any shape or form without a duly constituted parliament. It is clear that the robustness of our democracy, effectiveness of government, viability of the state, and the feasibility of development depend to a considerable extent to the existence and effective functioning of a strong parliament. The role of parliament, as set out in Article 94, outlines the fundamental scope of the institution. The role of the National Assembly, as set out in Article 95, goes further to establish the vital implications of this indispensable institution. Members of Parliament are therefore state officers who individually and collectively perform duties and functions that go to the heart of governance and democracy. The Constitution has invested heavy demands upon your legislative oversight and representative roles. At the same time, it is most remarkable that there exists no standard curriculum, education, or training institution to facilitate legislators in performing their functions. The principle of sovereignty of the people dictates that no barrier should fetter its full exercise, and that whoever the people elect must be deemed fit for purpose and promptly thrown into the deep end of complex, diverse, often specialized technical legislative activity with monumental national implications. I know from experience that how Parliament fares collectively is a function of the capability and efforts of individual legislators. I also know that effective representation of our constituencies is highly challenging, and that at all times we work under significant resource constraints. Nevertheless, members of Parliament quickly adapt to the pace of national service at the parliamentary level by principally exercising an insatiable curiosity and also through peer learning. In this gathering, there exists precious nuggets of wisdom and invaluable learnings from the experience of colleagues who are sitting here, especially those who are ranking members. This post-election seminar is therefore particularly welcome since it provides a more structured forum for the exchange of insights, experiences, techniques, and contemporary knowledge on the conduct of parliamentary affairs. I have noted that your engagements will cover such critical matters as parliamentary procedures, budgeting, as well as powers and privileges. These go to the heart of your role as parliamentarians and will simultaneously fulfill the functions of a welcome new learning for debunked members and a timely refresher course for the veterans. Equally important, this seminar is an opportunity to forge useful networks with colleagues as well as distinguished guests who are present here, including the gentlemen from Commonwealth who are visiting from various other jurisdictions. By design, our parliament represents the face of Kenya. Its diversity is unrivaled as a perennial feature of the institution. Every portion of Kenya, as well as every community, belief, shade of opinion, and occupation are represented. The representatives themselves are equally diverse, with members hailing from innumerable professional backgrounds and walks of life. Among our members of parliament are lawyers, doctors, engineers, including Sudi, hospitality professionals, teachers, former military and police personnel, administrators, trade unionists, and businessmen in various networks and sectors. Yeah, somebody introduced to me Sudi as Engineer Sudi, so I was just... I celebrate this diversity and encourage you as leaders to embrace it as a platform to champion a Kenya that is strong and united, yet proudly diverse and inclusive. We must be more intentional in order to make this tremendous endowment count for the betterment of our nation.
Naam, ni hotuba yake Rais William Ruto akizungumza na viongozi wa bunge